This is a general overview of the functionality of MyMathLab. This is for all of Mr. Jones's courses in MyMathLab or MyStatsLab or MyLabsPlus. If you are logging in for the first time on your home page, it may look different than this. However, all of them should look similar. The one thing I want to point out is down near the bottom is something called the browser check. This is the first thing you want to run when you log in. It is simply going to make sure that your computer has all the necessary software. It's looking for things like Adobe Acrobat, Real-Time Player, QuickTime, etc. It will give you the option to install the updates or not if you care to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. However, it may not run properly without all the updates, so please run that first. I'm going to go in the back end on my end, and I'm going to look at one of the assignments. Again, the assignment doesn't necessarily matter. I just want to talk about the functionality of the software, since that is what we want to be able to focus on how to use this software. This is a homework problem. I'm going to choose a homework problem at random. And this asks for a distance problem. I'm going to intentionally get this wrong because I want to show you how MyMathLab homework typically works. I'm going to enter an answer. Again, the thing about MyMathLab is most of the time it does not ask you to show your work, so it's simply going to ask for answers. However, when you're doing your homework, it is important to show your work on your own paper and keep it organized so you can go back and refer to it later. Again, this tells me I got it wrong. I expected to get it wrong because I intentionally got it wrong, and it gives me a hint on what to use. You'll come back in here and say you want to do this again. Let's get it wrong again. And it gives you the same hint. It doesn't give you a new hint. And finally, on the third time, let's get it wrong again. It's actually going to do something. It's actually going to mark this wrong and tell you what the correct answer is. All right. This is an important feature of MyMathLab. It gives you 3 strikes and you're out policy. Basically, it sits there and says, well, after 3 attempts at the same problem, we're simply going to mark it wrong. And now you have an option. You can either go to the next question, which in this case will be question number 5, or you can do a similar question. And notice the points up here are -1, -3, and the point -13, 13. A similar question, what it's going to do is algorithmically generate 2 new points. And basically what this means is that when you go to do your homework, you and your classmates, when you're working together, I have no problem with you working together with your classmate if you find one that lives close to you or that it works out to do that. Please realize each of you will have different numbers in here, so you'll be practicing the same technique but with different numbers. So if both of you input the same answer, chances are one of you will get it wrong. So please be aware of that. Now, it'll give you a new question. You get 3 more attempts at this problem, and it basically happens infinitely many times. It'll give you 3 attempts at each additional problem. Now some of you are like, that is a great thing to have. I get unlimited attempts basically on the homework. However, after about the 12th attempt, I'm kind of frustrated and don't want to do it anymore, and I completely agree with you. And this is where the other help tools come in at, and this is what I'm going to refer to as your help tools. You have option of clicking on view an example, and what this will do is it'll give you a similar problem, not the same problem. Notice there's your numbers on the original problem were 9, -8, and 14, -128. And on this example problem, they're -4, -7, and 23, -1, 27. And it basically walks you through how to solve this problem step by step. And then you got to go back and work this problem. The other option they have is something called Help Me Solve It. And Help Me Solve It does something different. Notice the points are the same. They both have the point 9, -8, and the point 44, -128. What it will do on the Help Me Solve It is it will actually sit there and typically prompt you for an answer. It'll sit there and say, well, once you get to this step, what's a simplified answer going to look like? Now, please be aware, some of you are like, well, let me just do the Help Me Solve It, and it'll give me the answer. It'll give you the answer for this problem, but once you close this, notice what happens to these points. They change once again. So if you're struggling with a specific set of numbers, use the Help Me Solve It. If you're just trying to get an idea how to do it, use the View an Example. There are videos in here. This is not me. This is somebody that the publisher found, and this will actually go through and talk about, I won't sit there and play all of that, but it will give you ideas how to do things. There's an animation. It just popped up off screen. I'll bring it back over. Sometimes these animations are great. Sometimes they're not. It talks about view examples of how to do things. And basically it's going to work you through the Pythagorean theorem, because that's basically what a distance kind of sounds like a robot talking to you, but if you need the extra help, it's there for you. The other thing it's going to have is the textbook. I'm not going to click on this, but please understand what it's going to do is it's going to open the textbook up for you. It's going to open up to the chapter and the section you're working on, and it's the exact textbook you could have bought if you chose to go that route, or if you're just choosing to use the software. The textbook's there for you. So this is really nice if, say, you're traveling on business or whatever, and you need to get online and do your homework. It's right there for you. The last thing is the Ask My Instructor here, okay? On the Ask My Instructor, this is linked to my email for your class. So if you have a question on what's going on with the problem, you can click on this and hit send, and it's going to send me a link to this problem with your exact numbers, not somebody else's numbers, your numbers. However, do not just send a blank email or an email that just simply says help. What I need from you is you simply show me what you're doing. So send me your work. This may be as an attachment, it may be whatever. Show me the actual mathematical work. Don't write things out. Don't sit there and say, well, I'm trying to do this on step 3 and I did this, 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 and this, and that just gets too wordy, okay? I'm a mathematician and I speak equations and expressions, mathematical expressions very easily, so I can look at your work and spot things real quickly. So if you send me your work, you can get a real quick answer back on that. Couple other things. Up here in this left-hand corner, this is actually fairly important because this actually tells you where the problem comes from. Chapter 1, Section 2, Problem 29. That's what this is for. So you can always refer back to the book if you need to on this. Last thing I want to point out here is this is your formatting toolbars. This is your fractions, your mixed numbers, your exponents, absolute values. This is your square roots. This is points or intervals. And if you're not seeing something you need formatting-wise, hit more. And there is everything you need. Please be aware, if you're doing a multiplication sign, this is your multiplication sign, not the X on the keyboard. Okay. That is basically MyMathLab in a nutshell as far as the homework goes. The homework has all these help tools. Please understand the quizzes and exams do not. So do not get too dependent on the help tools because they will not be there for you on the quizzes and exams. Hence, what you need to be working for in the homework is for mastery. When I say mastery, what do I mean? That means you can look at a problem, deduce what it's asking for, work the problem correctly, and get the answer right the first time without using any help tools. So use that as a goal. If you're finding you're having to redo a problem 3 or 4 times, maybe come back to it later, try again, and make sure you actually have mastered it. This should give you a good head start on what you need for MyMathLab or MyMathLabPlus or MyStatsLab as far as the functionality of the software. Good luck, and I look forward to working with you this semester.